Hey guys, so as I'm walking, I'm thinking, and something like a memory popped in my head that I had, because I've had a lot of crazy experiences in my life. I'm 37 years old right now, but up until the age of 30, I was a wreck. I got in a lot of trouble. There's a lot, until after I had my third near-death experience. After that, something within me shifted. Right before that, I got shingles on the left side of my face and my head, and I'm convinced that was because I needed something, because it deals with the nerves. And I swear that everything happens for a reason, and I feel like maybe rewired something up there, turned something on. But anyways, I was thinking about how the movies and music can impact you so deeply, and this memory popped in my head of this girl. I was in this center, and she was my roommate, right? And she was real suicidal and stuff like that, and they brought her over she was in jail, banging her head off grounds, and she was already suicidal. So when I met her, she ended up being my roommate. So they had us watch this movie. It was about, with Gwyneth Paltrow was in it. She was a country music star. I don't remember the name of it. So we're all sitting there watching it. There's 30 girls sitting there watching it. So she gets up and leaves. She's sitting behind me. I didn't even see. I go to walk back in my room after it's over. I'm like, where'd she go? I walk back in. There's blood everywhere. She's laying there. She slit her wrist. Her handprint was on the thing all the way down the walls. Blood everywhere. And she's laying there. And I'm just so I run and I'm like, she slit her wrist. She slit her wrist. So I come back to my room, and there's all these people there, and no one does anything, right? Because the people who worked where I was at, they're not allowed to touch anybody, I guess. They had to wait for the paramedics. So my initial instinct was I grabbed something and I jumped on top of her, and there was 3 of us, and who ended up just it was just instinct, and then we held her wrists up above her heart until she, because one girl was a nurse that was next to me, and we held her wrists until the ambulance got there. And I remember when she opened her eyes, she looked at me and started crying, dead in the eye. And I said, what's wrong? She said, I'm alive. Man. And when I walked in on the notebook, I have the tattoo So Much Pain on my arm, and she had my tattoo drawn. And mind you, on the movie, Gwyneth Paltrow tries to kill herself. I'm pretty sure. Something like that. She was a country star, and on the movie, she goes to kill herself. So as she's watching this movie, that she reminded her why she wanted to die, about her pain. So what did she do? She went in and broke a razor and slit her wrist all the way down her arm. All the way down. And what was even more fucked up is they took her to the hospital. She had staples all on her arm. And then they brought her back. And then they took her out of my room to isolate her. And I remember her crying, being like, please put me back in the room. She was by herself. It was just, I wonder, her name was Amy. I remember her last name too. I wonder if she's still alive. Her hands were deadly weapons, considered deadly weapons, because she was martial artist and stuff. So her hands were considered deadly weapons. But her man died, and they were both in a car wreck, and her leg was all messed up. And smart girl, nice girl. And she was just, not that I was in the best place. I was in the worst place of my life. I was in the most vulnerable. I mean, humiliated. It was one of the worst points in my life where I was at. I was so much humiliation and vulnerable and shame. And, there was just so much pain, like my tattoo says. But on the other side, through pain comes strength. And I remember we had to make these posters. And, I ended up going there twice because I ended up getting in trouble while I was there. So they came back and got me, and then I ended up back over there. And we had to make these posters because they could say whatever they want to, quotes and stuff. My first one was, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. And my second one was, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. And those were the 2 posters I made. I wish I still had those. But even back then, I had this knowing everything that I went through and what I'm going through was for a reason, and what could not be for nothing, and it's a strong feeling, when everything's taken from you. From my kids have been taken twice. This system is so messed up illegally. Like, it's so illegal, that system. From my family, my mom got killed right downtown Pittsburgh, right by the county jail, by 18-foot semi-flatbed. And I was there. Ran right over. Then my dad died a couple months later. My grandma, everyone. I was alone for a long time until I had my kids. And then once I had my first one when I was 19, 20. And, you know, I was still a kid. I was still young. And I just had so much pain, so much trauma. I found my grandmother dead, like seeing dead bodies, seeing a lot of death. So I kind of knew, like it was like there was a lot of death that I experienced. So I knew there had to be something in like my past life or something that needed, like, because like I looked around and nobody else was going through any of that. Being locked up. You know, from a young age, from the age of 18, since I turned 18, I started getting arrested. You know, drugs was a huge thing. It was a way for me to numb myself. And when I look back, turning every, you know, negative into a positive, because I am who I am right now, because of my, you know, everything I've been through. But drugs is what got me through what I needed to get through at that time. Like, it was like I just had to get, I guess, like, when I look back, it was like that big stretch of years and period. Like, man, it kind of just numbed me out. It still didn't deal with anything, though. You know, it wasn't me dealing with anything. It was just keeping me moving. And I don't want to say alive, because I mean, there's time. I should, you know, I should be dead. But well, not should be, but I could have been dead 3 times in my life. And forever, you know, there's a reason. So I know there's a reason why I'm here. I know there is, because I wouldn't be here. Because there's so many people I know that, you know, they didn't get that other chance. And it took me, like, I'm so freaking hard-headed, you know? It took me so many freaking times, but I never gave up. See, I never gave up. I fought the systems. I knew what a good person I was. I knew my heart was pure. I knew, you know, what was happening to me I didn't deserve. I know because of my stupidity and actions, of course, got me into situations, but I was persecuted way beyond what the crime was. Like, I was, and it's like they wanted me to fail. That system, they hated me. And their ego and pride was so big that even no matter what I did, it didn't matter what I did. It didn't matter what I said. In their mind, I was bad. And for them to say that I was good would mean that they were wrong. And their ego and pride wouldn't allow that, you see? Wouldn't allow that. Still to this day, those people probably would say the same thing. And I mean, they tried everything. No matter what I would do, no matter what accomplishment I would make, that I would be so proud of, they would take it down like that. They would look at me and they'd twist it and like it was nothing. They tried to break me so many times. They thought that they could. They thought that they were. They didn't realize that, like, you know, that the warrior within me, that spirit within me, would never stop. Ever. And the thing was, when I was younger, my mom got taken from me. So, like, and my mom didn't fight. And I remember that feeling. You know, there was just no way. I was breaking that curse. I have all 3 of my kids. And I mean, this was years ago. The second time around, but I'm 37 now. Like, they're all with me where they belong. And we all, for whatever reason, had to go through that for a reason. But we wouldn't be where we're at right now if it wasn't for that. But to deny that past and pretend like it never happened is a waste. So I think it's definitely important for me to get my story out there, because there's so many things that people can learn from. Just like that girl who tried to go slit her wrist. She was watching a movie. They had us watching a movie at this place. We shouldn't even have been watching that movie. Like, why would they even put that on? Do you know what I mean? Like, so you have to be careful with what you watch, what you hear, the music you listen to, the people you're around, what you're telling yourself. Because that's what your life's going to be. That's what it's going to be. And I wish someone would have told me that. saved me a lot of time.